Hello, and welcome back to the channel. So today, I finally decided I should do an update video on the Mustang. So, it is no longer in the garage. There's nothing in here. We'll go over that in a minute. You can see, it's still kind of junky looking inside, but no longer has a shifter in it. All the stuff that's there. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done an update because I've been kind of, tearing it apart. So, as you can see, this piston is taking some pretty good damage. I didn't know if I was going to reuse this motor anyway before, but now it's kind of the deciding factor on it. I thought we were going to be lucky when I saw that one wasn't as pretty, but once I got to the push rods, here I'll grab two of them so you can see what one side versus the other. So as you can see, one side of the motor had some pretty decent push rods. The other side had some very well worn push rods. And that piston came from the side that had the worn out head, the worn out push rods. So I'm guessing something happened to the other side of the motor at some point. They replaced the head, they honed it out, because you can see hash marks from the hone job, because the car's got 287,000 miles on it, so you can't tell me that those are still the factory hone. And so here's the transmission, just a regular T5. The headers, and then the questionable welds that these people did before I bought this car are definitely garage with no eyes kind of welds. They're definitely kind of scary looking. The clutch didn't look too bad. It had been replaced at some point. There was definitely a lot of hot spots on the plate. Oh, I can't think of the word. You can go ahead and comment and tell me what I'm trying to say, because some days I just can't talk. I also was able to get as a gift a 3/8 Milwaukee, which made the teardown so much quicker. Literally cut my time in probably half, if I would to venture a guess. So we'll go ahead and look through this side. I mean, you can see there's definitely a lot of gunk and buildup. And that piston was the only one that I truly cleaned up real well. But my concern is that if that's the only one I cleaned up and it looks like that, what are the other ones going to look like when I finally clean them up? So chances are this motor's not going to be rebuilt. It's probably going to turn into a table. We haven't quite set our sights gung-ho on that, but I already have another motor coming, and it will be here in the near future. I'm not going to say what it is. I will tell you it is no longer going to be a V6. That much is 100%, no problem saying that. And I'll also say it's not going to be an LS. It will still be Ford powered. But just really wanted to come out and give you guys an update. As you can see, the parts for this car just kind of built up. Some other things that have been kind of concerning for me was the coil pack they had on the car wasn't even the right coil pack. It didn't go to the car. It didn't bolt correctly to the intake. I'm sure it was just the different year, but there's some very questionable work done to the car. I mean, the welds are kind of a dead giveaway as far as the exhaust. So that's never a good sign. I would love to say this car was well taken care of, but I had a massive oil leak and I couldn't figure out what it was. That was the main reason I ended up tearing the motor apart, was I gave up. I couldn't figure out why it was leaking oil. And it wasn't just a drip here or there, it was pouring oil. Well, I touched the oil pan gasket whenever I went to take the oil pan off. There was 2 bolts not even tight. Could take them off with my fingers. They were that loose. It looked like all they did was, hey, we'll slap some gasket on it and call it a day. It's not how that works. Anyone that works on cars knows that's not how that works. They literally put gasket on the outside. They didn't even put it here. This is the other ones. I kind of cleaned this one up a little bit. You can see scratching in that. They're all definitely pretty worn. But on the outside of the oil pan, they literally slathered gasket on the outside just to try and prevent it from leaking. I don't know about you, but that's not how that works. You can't solve it by covering it up. You need to actually get in the pan. Let's see. I had this garage all nice and neat before I took this motor apart, and then it just kind of exploded. Don't know what happened. It may not be the cleanest person in the world when it comes to working on cars. I don't know. Good possibility. Oh, and I did put a TV up. It is kind of cracked, but at least now I can watch kind of TV out here. Mainly listen to music. So that's been nice. Oh, and I got a Harbor Freight engine hoist. It's one of the 2-ton. That was a lifesaver. I was so thankful to have that whenever we took this motor apart. Because before that, I wasn't really sure how I was going to take the motor apart, but with that, it definitely made things a lot easier. But I think I'm going to wrap the video up here today. Oh, before I do also have the airbag. That's the SRS module and the driver's side airbag. So the interior for the car is ready to go back together. The crash damage is ready to be fixed because there's my bumper to go. And I also got new headlights. They just need to be restored, which that's no big deal. And I think in the near future, well, not near future, but in the far out future, we're going to have another car join the channel, but it will not be a drag car. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll see what it ends up turning out to be. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think.